Thank you, Phil. All right, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 26, 2025.
26? Tuesday, 26?
Yes.
Oh.
But it's still 2025 though, right? I'm usually living in the past. All right, back to business. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Public Works Infrastructure Commission for the City of South Pasadena. And this is a special meeting. Philip, would you please call roll?
Vice Chair Brunel,
Here.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Here.
Commissioner Kerwin,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Manning, Commissioner Sharma,
Here.
David Forum.
And I'm here too.
Oh, sorry.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We're having fun. That's the most important thing. All right, thank you, Phil, very much. Why don't we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Sharma.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sharma. Steve. All right, item 1 on the agenda, public comment on items not on the agenda for tonight. Do we have any public comments generally? Right. None live, none
There are none at the time.
none this time. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll move right along to item 2, which is reordering additions, deletions. Staff, any reason we need to switch anything up? Commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move speedily along to the reason we're here tonight, which is item 3, North-South Intelligent Transportation System Deployment Project on Fair Oaks Avenue. Michael Passam.
Oh, that looks pretty nice. Is that Fair Oaks? Oh, no. You have so. A long. This is not good.
I did want to talk to you folks, put this on your radar, they updated the fire severity map.
Okay.
And so at some point, we'll be doing like code and payback.
Do you want
I'm leaving with you. I can, if you want to, or I can leave that with you.
well, since you took the trouble.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, Passam, I'll interrupt you just for a moment.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Ferguson just showed up to share a few thoughts with us. If that's all right with everyone?
Sure.
All right.
I'll be real quick. Sorry,
So just for the record, we are moving things around, so we're taking item 5,
Correct.
City Council Liaison Communications
Yeah.
out of order.
Okay.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for the accommodation and the duct tape stuck in my foot before. I just want to say, I wanted to provide an update because we talked about the fire severity zone updates. And that's going to kind of propagate through several aspects of the city. One being, like, there's obviously going to be enforcement actions, but then there's also going to be design considerations that are going to be taken into consideration as it pertains to a lot of the hillside areas that are now very high severity and accessibility. So that might mean that we have sides of the street that are red flag or, high fire risk days. And so I just wanted to drop off that quick bit of information for the commission. So that way, at least you folks are aware of it, so that when we start to see those changes come through, you kind of have an idea of what's coming around the curve. So thanks a lot, and I'll look forward to watching the video. That's after I get the meeting. So
Okay.
thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate you allowing for the accommodation, shuttle.
Of course.
All right.
Thanks, Councilmember. All right, with that, we'll move back. Thank you, Passam. Sorry about the interruption.
No problem.
We'll move back to item 3. Fair Oaks Avenue.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for showing up tonight on a very short notice for this business meeting. This is the very proposal that we're working on now, and we're really running on a very tight schedule. And as we go, I'll show you some dates, and that's why we have to do everything quickly on a short notice. So the project in front of us here is North-South Intelligent Transportation System Deployment Project on Fair Oaks Avenue. This is literally an intelligent transportation system project that we are updating all traffic signal system along the Fair Oaks corridor. And the reason.
You can just tell me when.
Oh, sure. So the scope of the project is to upgrade the entire signal system along the Fair Oaks corridor, all the way from the northerly border end to the southerly end. And transportation system, the intelligent transportation system will enhance the overall vehicular movement as well as bicycle and pedestrian movement. It is also will provide a compatible traffic signal system that is compatible with the regional integration of intelligent transportation system, which is called RITS program. It's a LA Metro program, and it's administered by LA County. So we want to make sure that all our signals have the components that are compatible along all the cities within the corridor. Total of 15 intersections that will be included in this project. And in addition to upgrading the signal components, some of the components that we're upgrading will include putting a new vehicular video detection system that will start video detection on cars instead of the loops in the ground. We are also, at some locations, we are replacing the entire poles with new poles to be up to date with the system. We will be upgrading the control system and the programming and adding other elements like the emergency vehicle preemption system that will help our fire department and emergency response system. So there will be a lot of components, really technical code that will be involved in upgrading the entire system simply to be compatible with the region. Obviously, when we start touching intersection, by law, we are required to upgrade the intersection or bring it up to date with whatever we see needed enough. So along with the intelligent transportation system component, other elements of the project will include the fiber optical installation with the street closure, and this is more like a cul-de-sac really closure. We'll explain that. We will be installing RRFP unit, rectangular rapid flashing beacons at one location. We're upgrading the fairgrounds to be ADA compatible. Median noses at some locations, we have to cut them and adjust the alignment. And also curb extensions and landscaping. We'll explain that as we go. Next, please. The project funding total cost is almost $7.5 million, of which 9.343 is coming from the FHA Rogan fund. So this is really federally funded program fund. And the fund, by the way, expired soon, 6/30/2027. Our city match is 10%, almost 10-12% of that. It's about $1.2 million. And recently, when we received the 50% design plan, the rough estimate came up to around $8.4 million total cost of the plan, of which there will be $1.13 million for design alone, and that includes about $100,000 contingency.
I have a question. Sure. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Is that $1.1 million included in the 10 million?
So that
The design?
the 1.1?
Yes. Is it included in the 10?
No, it's additional.
It's addition to.
Yeah.
Okay.
for almost 9.34.
Okay, thank you.
So, as I said, really, we are in a very tight schedule on this project. We have to complete construction actually by end of June 2027. But before we get to that, the 50%, as I mentioned, we just received on August 15. And our comments due back to the contract, to the consultant on August 29, end of this week. 90% of the plans are due by September 19. And then the environmental document must be completed by October 24. The 100% design, final review, I mean, is due by November 3rd. And the 100% design is due by November 27th. Construction, we need to complete construction by June of 2027. So it's really a very tight schedule, and we're getting everybody involved. So we called for this meeting really, again, just quickly without long notification, is simply because we need to get your opinion, your input on this project. So probably we need to incorporate some of the comments with the plans that we're sending back to the consultant by the end of this week.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why is the project on such a tight timeline? Like, how did we get in this?
I honestly don't know the history behind that, but my understanding, this project has been in the making for almost 5 years. What happened during those 5 years? I don't know.
Let's have a special meeting to discuss that.
All right, sure.
All right. So as I mentioned, there are other components besides the IKS equipment. One of the major things we're doing is we're actually installing a new fiber optic installation that will go from City Hall to our Garfield yard. Eventually, we're gonna move our staff operations center from City Hall to the Garfield yard. That's where Public Works is located, and we'll be able to monitor traffic from there. So the fiber optic is gonna be running all the way on the south side of Newton up to Fair Oaks is gonna be on an existing conduit. But from Fair Oaks to east, it will be a brand new conduit, 4-inch conduit that we will install for fiber optic. From Fair Oaks all the way to the Garfield yard.
Are you cutting into the pavement along Mission Street to do that, or?
It'll be underground, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, fiber optics is very expensive, so that's probably taking a good chunk off of the budget. Gravity Street border at the intersection of Fair Oaks Avenue. Probably all of us know this little hole here on Revelia at the intersection of Fair Oaks. So this will be closed as part of this project and turn out as a cul-de-sac. And the reason for this one is really, it's quite an unsafe maneuvering that we are experiencing now. As we all know, the traffic coming from the freeway conflicts with this particular traffic coming from here. Also, pedestrian movement really crossing the street here is really a little bit confusing, and we believe by closing closing the intersection and make it like a cul-de-sac, it will help improve circulation in general. It'll eliminate conflicting movement with traffic from freeway, and will also improve pedestrian crossing for that intersection. Can you? Yeah. So this is the proposed closure here. This will be a cul-de-sac, and then we're gonna be this is gonna be continuous sidewalk. And we will be installing a semi-diagonal crosswalk. This shape helps enhance visibility for motorists coming over the freeway. When you have it as an angle, it really helps enhance visibility of pedestrian in the crosswalk better than the existing straight line.
Wasn't there a thought at one time to use Revelia, that portion of it, for a third lane for the off ramp?
From that freeway, actually, on, rest of our limited communication with Caltrans,
Okay,
I haven't heard anything of maybe a widening of that route. So, yeah. To us, it'll make a lot of sense to close it and really again, because you hardly have any traffic and we probably have the future plans there. So we'll be working with the developers to that area, what we do. Next one. The north south, this project really took into consideration some of the recommendations that came of the tool report. We try to incorporate as little as possible really from the tool report because we also have this very big project coming up soon, the Huntington Fremont street improvement, which is literally tool report. And by the way, for that one, tomorrow is the deadline to submit it. So we're gonna, part of the reason, like I said, for Barracks and Huntington Drive, for example, we're not doing a lot of modifications for our project because that is a big chunk of the tool report that will be doing that project. But for now, what we're doing simply is improving visibility by installing high-visible crosswalk. We're doing just this little extension of the bike lane just to really guide traffic through these maneuver movements here, prove that. And the rest of it really is coming, this is a picture from the tool report, what they propose to do. So I put these right next to each other to show you really what's coming up as part of the Huntington project. And for now, until this is constructed, this is all what we're doing at this intersection.
So, and I have a bunch of questions, but I just wanted this clarification for this. So you said something about a bike lane.
Not bike lane, but extension of the bike lane, right, with the green. Just to guide the bicycle through the traffic, so because of that free right turn here.
Right.
But that's just for this project. The Huntington Fremont project will incorporate a full bike lane on.
Okay, because I don't think there's any bike facility.
No,
there.
no, it's really an additional safety measure.
Oh.
Just conflict striping, that's it. No,
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that customary when you don't have a bike
That's a
facility?
very
to-
good question, actually, and we did ask that same question to our consultant, and it's not customary, but it's not unusual. I mean, what we're doing really simply is trying to tell people, I mean, if you have a bicycle, for example, already on the street, all what we're saying is, yeah, maintain your same line, you do not need to merge to that or anything. Stay on your line while you're crossing the intersection. It's just an added safety feature. It's not gonna harm anyone. It's really beneficial just to guide them through this unusual intersection, really, with all the turning movements.
Okay, so the only thing going on at that intersection with regard to this project is pink.
Yes,
That's it. Okay,
yes, exactly what you're seeing.
got it.
From here to here, and then that little piece here to guide them through.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next one. Fair Oaks and Spruce Street. Here we're gonna install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at this intersection, RRFP unit. That's one we did a lot of defense or inquiries about how can we improve crossing from this particular intersection. Right now, this is really an old photo, but we've already installed the ladder type crosswalks, high visibility crosswalks. Right now, that's what is existing right now. But with this project, we will be installing a new RRFP unit, obviously for the entire street for both directions of traffic.
That's the first block north of
North of
Huntington.
the intersection.
Okay.
This one originally in the proposal, or I think it was discussed at one time, they were thinking of the hawk signal. However, the hawk signal requires a study.
Mhm.
And based on the numbers we got for pedestrian traffic, it will not meet. So we decided to put something else, it will be the RFP system push button only process.
So 30 seconds or less, could you just, this the distinction between Hawk and RRFB? What, high level, what is the difference?
Hawk system is the one you see a mast arm in the middle of the street with 4 or 5 eyes. With flash, it'll have the different phasing for flashing red and solid red. It's a bit more complex, really, it's a signal system. While the RFB unit is a signal system because you're using a push button to control it. But it's a simple unit that you put, and it's gonna be solar powered, by the way. So there's no electrical wiring involved in this at all.
So there's nothing going over the street?
No, it's just the unit you probably see with the pedestrian sign, and then you see the two flashing beacons coming.
But you could put an RFB overhead.
Right,
A Hawk high intensity act.
a Hawk has a
I forget the
different
word, but
operation.
the operation is yellow, red, so you stop. And then after maybe the walk interval, it goes like this
That's
kind
the
of
Hawk,
back and forth, yeah, like, and then you can stop and proceed.
okay.
And it's
There's
the-
one on Valley Boulevard in Alhambra near, I forget the cross street, but it's like Bami Chekali. That, the Vietnamese restaurant, it's at that intersection, you can see one. And then an RFB is just the.
And is the RFB just on the sides of the street, or is there gonna be an indicator in the median as well?
No, right now we're proposing on both end sides here.
But nothing in the
And
middle?
it'll be on, the RFP will be facing both directions, both sides.
But just on the curbs, not in the median?
No, not on the, oh, I'm sorry, my apologies, yes, it is on the median.
Okay, that's better.
Because it's a wide,
We've got 6 lanes of traffic, so.
yeah, I didn't know if he came, because we mentioned that and he originally the consultant wasn't gonna put it, so I didn't see that he did.
I vote for yes, yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, it'll be there.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, you said it didn't qualify for a Hawk system?
Yes, it did not. Our system requires a study that requires at least 20 pedestrians in the crosswalk within any 1 hour of the day. We don't have that much volume there. And in general, honestly, I'll give you my opinion from my own experience. I find the Hawk system to be very confusing, not for pedestrians, but for motorists. Because of what Commissioner Fowler mentioned, the way that the signal you have to go from one phase to the other, flashing red to red, then yellow. It's really confusing, and I'm not sure really up to this point, our motorists are really aware how the system works. It's very costly, by the way. It's
Yeah.
almost as costly as a new signal system. So not meeting the fact and all these other complications, it's a lot easier and more practical and understandable to everyone how the hospital, I mean, the RFP system. Okay, next please. ADA curb ramp improvement. Again, once we touch the intersections, obviously we have to make sure everything is up to date and compliant with the code. So we are upgrading curb ramps at several locations here on Fair with Hope, Mission, El Centro, Oxley, Columbia, State, and Lincoln. The curb ramp will be upgraded at all these intersections. In some locations, however, where we have 2 separate curb ramps. So what we're doing is we're combining them into one. So these 2 separate. It'll be something like what you see.
Oh.
These are the old one here, the light gray. And we're gonna combine it into one ADA compliant.
Why?
Good question, because.
If there are 2 existing curb ramps, why, is there some new requirement to do that, or? I'm not against it, I'm just wondering
No,
why.
no, it's not a requirement that you combine them as long as either one of them is compliant, but I believe because it's really, again, trying to be consistent with what we have around the area. Some locations somehow, somebody built these 2 separate ones versus a complete one ramp. And this is really our opportunity to make, even if it's okay, these are not probably up to date with the ADA, but in general, even if they were okay, this is our chance that we can really bring it up and be consistent with the rest of our infrastructure.
But it's better to have two. And, you know, and then,
That's directional.
and then also like, we're kind of glossing over like removing the curb extension, right?
So,
We're kind of glossing over like removing the curb extension. Like you're removing it, right? You're
Yeah.
taking out the bi-directional and then you're putting you're taking out the,
do you wanna,
Oh, is the
I'll
footprint
ask you
changing?
to help. me
yeah, the
with this.
footprint, so this is one,
Sure.
Some places, yes, we're removing the.
Right.
That's not happening on Farrows.
right, that's happening
The
on,
bulb extensions on Farrows will remain,
Yeah.
or will be reconstructed.
right,
Without the corners,
Right.
there'll be radii going around. However, at some intersections, for east and westbound movement, we will be removing.
right, which is what you're doing.
Right, and this is just Austin and Farrows. I mean, if you look at Hope and El Central and whatnot.
Right.
You'll see that as well. We're also looking at adding bulb outs on Farrows. So Columbia, for example, as you come southbound on the northwest corner, doesn't have a bulb out. And in the tool design report, they actually mentioned that Columbia and Farrows intersection is a very wide crosswalk, so adding bulb outs there would be beneficial. So as we move from this percentage of the completion of the plans to the next stage, that's something we've noted to our consultant.
I have another
Yeah,
slide, this
comments
is
on that,
talking
Dave.
about bulb out removal, or we probably will skip the bulb out removal slide maybe.
Did you not just put bulb out removal on it, cause it might be controversial
Where, sorry?
on the slide?
No, this one really, this slide here is talking about upgrading the curb ramp, ADA, to be compliant with ADA.
But it's not really an
Okay.
upgrade. Is this, I mean, if you're taking two existing and just combining it into one, it doesn't sound like an upgrade. It sounds like you're just making consistent with other. What's, is there a overriding objective?
Well, when we build it, it has to be up to the ADA standard.
Okay, there are more slides, sorry, I jumped the gun.
Yeah, there's no slide.
Well, so,
Yeah,
no,
let's
that's a
stick
good
with
point,
this.
because typically a bi-directional curb ramp, like, that's best practice. And so is there a problem with the existing curb ramps,
I
or are they
wouldn't
not?
say really best practice, because it's really a rare practice, it's not common practice.
But,
It also
But
may be a
if you're,
conflict
if
with
you're a
potential
disabled
traffic
person and you have one curb ramp in the middle, you're being like thrust out into like live traffic conditions rather than being guided actually into the crosswalk, like, you know, a person could walk into the crosswalk that way. So I'm just curious, like, why are we doing this and spending money on this when, like, is there a problem with the existing curb? Like, is it not ADA?
I
compliant?
cannot answer, I'm not sure if the existing one, the big thing is whether it is compliant with ADA. I can check on that, and yes, because my concern, if it's not existing, I wanna,
So if I may, I think for this specifically, the locations of new traffic signals will conflict with the bi-directional program, which is why it's being combined into one. Across the street, we're maintaining two. So where we can maintain two, we're maintaining that. But if in a new corner, you're having a conflict between where your traffic signal pulls into be, these are larger foundations for the new standards, or your other traffic signal hardware equipment, that's where we're seeing if we can, get to the one program.
Oh, so you're
We can
creating
revisit
space
this.
for the new, like,
so this is
New poles, new foundations, pedestrian push buttons, all that infrastructure has to fit into that corner within the distance of the crosswalk. So we can revisit this corner with our consultant just to double check. In fact, all the corners that we see here, just to double check. But I mean, I'm looking at the plans and that's what I'm gathering from these plans, just based on where the foundations are of the poles.
That's nothing that ever came from the commission, so that's why, yeah, so I guess the consensus is, if we need to do it, we need to do it, but if we don't need to do it, not.
And that's
Or if we
true.
are changing it, then the goal would be to replace it with two ramps if possible.
Right, so wherever we're rebuilding programs, you'll see that there are two programs being put back in.
Right.
This one in particular that you're seeing, with where the new foundations are gonna be, that's why they have to go to the one program.
Okay.
We'll revisit it with them again, just to
Right.
double check that, but from what I see on the plans, that's what I'm.
do you know what's in the updated public right of way accessibility guidelines? I know that they were in draft form, but I think they were being adopted,
the pro one.
right? Has that been Was it PROAG adopted?
It's
What
been
does
a
PROAG say?
practice, it hasn't been adopted officially.
I thought it had been.
No, not yet. NACU uses it, by the way. And it's becoming a widely used practice, and it's more stringent than the ADA requirement. But it's not officially adopted by the state of California. Caltrans.
Did they talk about?
Actually, this is probably what we're trying to do is to be in line if this becomes, what we're doing with the new care brand will be a PROAC compliance.
I don't think that will be.
That, the new one, the one care brand rather than the two something.
No, I think the two will be better
Yeah.
than one.
Yeah,
Okay, now we're talking directional versus, they're all different tablets.
Right, directional, I
Yeah.
think directional.
Yes, but again, I'm really looking at the same plan, Michael, here, and I think that would, the answer is what Michael said. To accommodate those new signal flow.
So if you could just revisit that with the consultants and you have our thoughts. on that,
of course.
Thank you.
Some cities are using PROAC already, which is, again, this is, will be compliant with them. We got the final configuration. But yeah, we'll visit and get back to you. Okay. Next. Median node modifications. So at some locations along Fair Oaks, we have these configurations where the median node and the left-hand pockets are not aligned properly. As you can see here, you see this, they're not aligned. So what we're doing, again, in this project, we're cutting the median node, we're narrowing the median nodes to about 2 or 3 feet wide, and widening the left-hand pockets so they can be aligned with each other.
I'm gonna ask the same question as the last one. Why and what difference does it make?
It's visibility, improved visibility at the intersection.
So for example, here,
For left turners. If you are here and this guy is, you see how, this one, they will be blocking each other in a way that you will not be able to see the through traffic. When it's like that, you see that?
so it
Here,
increases.
when they're angled, aligned together, they will be able to see the side that is bigger than you. See that? It will go like this.
So you'll be
Yeah, this will
directly
block-
looking at the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That was an easier one.
Yeah.
So all of these intersections have that challenge.
All these intersections will have this treatment. Again, Linden, Bank, Rowan, Oak, Floor, Spruce, and Huntington.
So question for you. So when you're doing this work, obviously you're disturbing asphalt. I mean, you're removing concrete, right? And you're disturbing asphalt. Are you just going, is the plan to just sort of patch around where the repairs are made, or is there maybe a greater thought about using this as an opportunity to resurface the street?
It'll be a localized one at what we're doing.
Because that part of Fair Oaks is a disaster.
Again, yeah, the Huntington FEMA also, when it comes, it's really gonna help, not necessarily on Fair Oaks, but there'll be a bigger, maybe, re-asphalting project that we're doing with FEMA. And then we'll be looking at our location. Here, again, it's really a minor treatment, nothing, and then gonna disturb the intersection completely. It'll be all localized around this, literally, the place where this to point. This area will be probably disturbed and re-asphalted after.
It's just one other question. I know the answer still, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. This section of Fair Oaks, right south of Monterey,
Mhm.
there are 3 lanes in each direction, if I remember correctly. And then there are 2 lanes in each direction north of Monterey. Has there been any conversation around reducing from 3 to 2
Not,
the number of through lanes on Fair Oaks in this section?
not in this part.
That's the other one.
Again, really, the focus of this project is the intelligent transportation system. And along, we're adding all these improvements just to be compliant.
I was gonna say, why would this be included in the ITS project versus in the Huntington Fair Oaks? This specific intersection, if there's no ITS component to it, why is it included in this project? You're gonna come back and repave and do all this other stuff.
Okay, because one thing I know is the fact that this is all on Fair Oaks that we're doing, all this work that we're talking about now is all on Fair Oaks. The other project, Huntington Payment, will touch part of Fair Oaks, but not the entire Fair Oaks. So
I thought you said that whole thing is gonna be repaid.
No, not, no. Part of it will be part of the Huntington Freeman. Fair Oaks is a separate part. We will not be doing major improvement on this project or on the other one with the Fair Oaks project. There might be some, locations where no, it would be warranted. If it's like again, like what I was showing earlier, Fair Oaks and Huntington. That's obviously because of the Huntington Street coming, which is the bigger project. We left everything over there the way it is for now, so it can be part of the Huntington Fremont. Here, we may not be touching those locations, and I might want to make that clear. This is not gonna be touched maybe in the Huntington Fremont project. So we're doing, again, whatever improvement we can as part of our ITS project. And we do have the fund for it. So it's really our opportunities to correct what probably few things that were either non-compliant or we think it can improve traffic conditions in there. Now, maybe we don't have to, but if we have the fund for it, this is the chance we should do.
So the potential resurfacing of Fair Oaks and potential lane reduction, that's a project yet to be
Probably, yes.
determined.
Yes, I don't know, honestly, do we have any,
At this time, no.
Yeah.
But in the future, there's more to come for arrows.
Yes.
This isn't the last thing that arrows will see.
The seed is.
but I want, yeah. Want to make sure that, yeah, we're all understanding, Fair Oaks will not be narrowed or touched heavily as part of this ITS project. I think that's good. Okay. Okay, other questions, Lee, before we move to next? Next. Oh, we're doing it here. Curb extension, bulb out removal, that's your budget. Okay. All right, so we are proposing to remove some bulb out as part of this project. And let me run those locations here. As you can see, Hope Street and Farrell, southwest corner. Hope Street, northeast corner. Mission Street and Farrell, Central, southwest corner, Central, northeast corner. Oak Street, southwest corner, and Oak Street, northeast corner. Those locations, we will be removing the bulb outs. However, the reason we're removing them actually is on the approach side and the east-western street to reduce being struck by vehicles and also to reduce delay for side streets. All these streets have one lane in each direction. And a lot of times when, for example, a car going through and a car behind them gonna make a right, they cannot make a right because the signal is red. While we have all this space on the side, a full lane that we can utilize if we remove the bulb out and use it as a right then we need. So it'll help really improve circulation. And just to make it clear, we're not moving any bulb out on Fair Oaks Avenue, all on the side. Nothing on Fair Oaks will be removed.
And then with the removal of those, then you'll have new ADA accessibility.
Yeah, well, obviously we are
Right.
also doing the run.
So I don't understand why they need to be removed.
To improve traffic circulation and visibility of all obviously.
Well, it sounds like it's just making it easier for cars to like make the right turn, right? Because if it's on, so like on Hope Street, for instance, if you're removing it on the approach side, on the side street, then a car can just kind of creep up and keep moving. Is that the goal that we're trying to accomplish?
No, it'll be two lanes. It'll be one, not necessarily dedicated right turn. If we remove.
No,
the
I know
bulb-
it's not dedicated right turn.
No, if we remove the bulb out, we will be able to accommodate another lane of traffic. This bulb out is holding us on from accommodating another lane travel, mainly for right turners. And it could be right and through, it doesn't have to be dedicated right turn either. So it'll be, for example, 2 through lanes or 1 right and 1 through. Literally, it will help alleviate backup and fuel of vehicles right now. Those are really, sometimes some of these streets are busy during rush hours or even full time or have you, so it is really an improvement to improve circulation. At the end of the day, when we are talking about ITS project, the entire ITS goal is to improve circulation on city streets by synchronizing traffic signals and eliminate as much of the stopping as possible. So in line will be is, yeah, you're trying to move the side street movement. And it's not something gonna really affect pedestrian movement in any major way. This is only for, let me explain, this is only 40-foot wide street. And when we move that, 40-foot wide is the minimum that people can cross actually. Right now, it's, yes, with the bulb bulb, it's probably 20 something. However, when we have signals, we can work out signal operations that will compensate for losing or for extending those extra 10 feet. Your crossing time will be longer sometimes. You can use an LPI system, lead pedestrian interval. And we can also use the all-red phase signal that gives pedestrian advanced a chance to cross the street before the car signal turn greens on the side street. So whatever, again, we're not just removing bulb box without looking at the timing is a big component of the ITS. And obviously now we're adding 10 foot of crossing. At least that's what, 10, about 4 to 5 seconds extra at least for pedestrians. If we decide to go with the normal crossing operation.
So so you improve circulation, right? And you make it easier for people to make a right turn. Well, just more people are gonna more people are gonna drive down that street and make a right turn, right? Like you're gonna.
More, you mean more people, more cars coming in?
Yeah, like if you're heading on Fremont south and you wanna cut, you hit on Fremont to avoid the 110. Interchange, and then you're gonna make a quick left on Hope, you're gonna go through there, and then you're gonna make a free right? So just kind of people are gonna do that now versus, perhaps the bulb out there, yeah, it's annoying. You get there and you're like, oh crap, I have to wait a cycle and during rush hour. But you might avoid that street, right? So.
Well, most of these streets to begin with, these are residential streets, local residential streets. So
Right.
traffic rate is not gonna increase from outside traffic, other than those people who are already using those streets, residents of the area. You're right, sometimes there's traffic jam on Fairroads or Fremont. People who know the area probably will use.
I mean,
those types of-
they use those streets between Fairhouse and Fremont to kind of whip between the two,
Right,
right?
But-
So,
how often or how frequent do you see cars, for example, coming from Fremont or Fairroad and going through Oxley to avoid, I'm talking about outside traffic, not local.
oh, I see, I mean, I live on Spruce and I see people coming down Fremont. They turn on the Spruce because they don't want to wait at that signal, and then they cut through and then they make a right on Hines and do that, so I imagine that could just happen further
So
up.
what would be, so the concern?
No, I think my concern is like, okay, if you make it easier for people to kind of cut through there and make a right turn, like I get that it's easier to drive through there, more people are gonna do it, right?
Yeah, it's not serving the local residents, if that's what you're saying, that this is a residential street. So it's gonna be easier for local residents would rather have a better pedestrian environment on a residential street than a more efficient vehicle
Yeah, and certainly
on a residential street.
free right turns on red, they're gonna be blocking that pedestrian crossing for half the time they're sitting there waiting to make their turn. You're cutting off the flow of pedestrians going across even when they have their signal.
No, it's not. We're adding more crossing time to the pedestrians. That's what I'm saying.
There's gonna be a car sitting in that intersection on that crosswalk looking to make a right turn, hanging out there hovering to make the right turn on red. Unless we're gonna ban right turn on red on all of these.
I would actually worry more about Fairroads than the side street. If we would cut the.
Well, they're
I would
turning
not. I
on
would-
there.
I'm sorry?
That's what he's talking
Right,
about.
so
They're
yeah,
coming
for the ones-
from the residential streets onto Fair. Oaks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you're a pedestrian walking down Fair Oaks,
Yeah.
now you've got cars who are sitting in your intersection waiting to try to make a right turn, when previously they were blocked by the bulb out.
Because that intersection has Kim's Hupkito on one side and Canoe House on the other side, which are both pretty popular.
Yeah,
Yes.
or any of them.
Popular
A lot of
blocked by
kids
or-
walk
Yeah.
by.
Starbucks? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and certainly the bike experience going through there, the nice thing of having the bulb out is you have that little buffer space, where you actually have a place where a bike can live safely, and if you're putting a car here and a car there, you eliminated any practical space for a bicycle. I'm not buying the benefit
Okay,
here.
well, for bicycle it's a different story, because on Third Street, when it's only 40 foot wide, bicycles share the lane.
Sure,
They're not dedicated bike lanes, so as long as they're sharing the lane, actually, it's even safer to move them all the way to the right rather than put it on the middle of the travel way. I'm talking about bicycles now. Going back to pedestrians, again, what is it that when you have a 40 foot wide street, how is that gonna really affect in such a concerning way pedestrian traffic?
because there'll be a car in the right turn, trying to make a right turn, sitting in the middle of the.
And that's not the all intersections, literally everywhere you'll see when you have two lanes, there are cars. And those are more lanes. To me, like I said, when there is a car, again, if a car is already in the crosswalk,
Mhm.
let's talk, I don't think that's a enforcement issue. That's illegal. We all know that. Obviously, everybody's doing a lot of illegal stuff,
Mhm.
but this is where it's really out of everybody's. Right now, the way it is,
Mhm.
I'm sure some of us seeing cars inside the car.
Mhm.
So that's gonna happen as long as you have these people who do not obey the.
Sure,
So
but if we can
what
minimize
we're
that,
doing,
wouldn't that be the goal?
Sorry,
If I may also add,
Minimize it?
if I may also add, you have absolutely, you have a good point. If we take the robot out, a car does have the opportunity to pull up, stop in the crosswalk, look left for southbound traffic, try to make a turn, potentially block the pedestrian. In the tool design report, it makes mention that these right turns are a difficulty that the community has been facing. So when they did all these charrettes, they gathered all this information, that was specifically called
I don't
out.
know what it is, but sure.
Oh, they called their community meetings, these charrettes,
engagement.
the engagement, our public outreach, I thought. So
I've learned something.
that was identified with that, you know, so we're looking at the tool design report, which is also something that our community is constantly asking us to take a look at. Our council is asking us to look at, even last meeting at the city council evening, we were asked for all of our future designs to potentially get the tool design group to start looking at our street designs, see if there's recommendations to improve traffic safety. So in their design report, they recommended looking at these, they recognized the issues with right turns, specifically on these couple of streets, or along Fair Oaks in general, but in particular, we noticed them at these few streets, you know, more and more frequently.
So
Is there a possibility that the car stops there? Sure, there is. Is there a possibility that right now, if someone's trying to make a left turn and holding up all the cars behind them, the person behind them swerves into the crosswalk, to get around them, potentially getting into that path across?
less so because the bulb out's there.
Yeah.
Well, this car is in the middle of the intersection waiting to make a left. The one behind him is waiting to go straight. He goes around him.
If he's
and
that
gets
far
into
out, he's past the intersection at that point, he's past the crosswalk area, right? That's.
Which car? The first one? Yes, he is. I'm saying the one behind him who wants to go around and go straight.
Okay,
Right now, he can, once this one's in the middle of the intersection.
okay.
So by doing that, it's an erratic movement, but they go into the crosswalk on this side of the street. That's also dangerous. So either way,
Wait, hold on a
Sure,
second,
but
hold on a
that
second.
just feels like we're stretching what's.
This script extension discussion is gonna be, because I have plenty to say and I disagree with some of the comments, but. So I thought if we just limit it to questions now, let the sum finish, hear
Sure.
from the public, and then we can, if that's okay? Just a question. No bulb outs on Fair Oaks Avenue are being removed.
Yeah.
Where is that coming from? Who directed you to do that? Where did that, I don't mean you specifically. but
No, it's, yeah,
It certainly wasn't our commission, so I'm just wondering where that idea of not adjusting bulb outs on the thoroughfare came from, and instead only adjusting them on the side streets.
That,
Makes zero sense to me, so that's why.
well, that actually in particular, on the wider street where the concern was. Obviously during the sheriff or any other public engagement or the polls or something, a council member, everybody gets, it's really was like, do not remove those on Fair, the wider street. I understand, and that's really very helpful. Yes, if I can narrow the 100-foot wide crossing, that's great. So again, if it's not really, I think based on feedback from the community, we decided to keep it. That's the only.
Okay. All right, we can talk further about it. I just wanted to ask a
No, no.
question.
That's the answer.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll let you finish up and then we'll.
Okay. Next week. So this is the last component of our IPS project, which is also irrigation and landscaping. And again, where we're keeping the bulb out, the better visibility issue is this one, because obviously speaking of what Michael was saying, people try to avoid. Visibility is a big issue. They don't see these curb extensions. So instead of putting that ugly yellow sign that says head this way, we decided to go with something nice, pleasant, green, and put these planters. Of course, they will be designed properly according to design standards. But it's something's gonna look like this.
But it's not gonna look like that, right? 'Cause that's-
Which way?
Right, because that's where the directional curb ramp, right? And so you're
I'll give
having,
you that example.
you're gonna have one extent.
No, but
In
we're
this
talking about.
situation,
this
it
one.
will be
Yeah.
like this, and that's.
So those are the locations where we're gonna have the
Okay,
and
so you're keeping the directional curb ramp there.
Here, yes.
Okay,
and I honestly, the more I look at
Okay.
the plans, and again, just for the directional, the bulb outs. I agree with Michael 100%. This is probably for the new pools, they have to adjust them. But we can, again, I'll confirm that. So, this is the last component of our project is installing some of the green area beautification, green, concept areas. Again, will help improve, avoid hitting those curves and beautification.
Comfort for pedestrians as well. They get some shade and landscaping in the area. It's also a recommendation from the school design.
The ramps that or the bulb outs that you're proposing to retain,
Mhm.
they have those very severe angles.
Yes.
Are they, the ones that are being retained, are they going to be massaged, adjusted, rounded?
Yeah.
Well, as of now, they
Yeah.
are. One of our comments when we go between now and
Oh,
90% is for the consultant to look at adding radii instead of these sharp corners. I don't know where those sharp corners. You probably didn't,
Before my time.
oh, really?
Um,
So hopefully by the end of this project, all these curb ramps will have smooth radii
Great,
without these sharp corners.
because there's a drainage and there are various issues associated with those.
Drainage.
When is taken into consideration when we do these, planters? They will look, to make sure that our drainage system is, not affected from all.
Yeah, drainage, debris, safety, all those.
A lot of these curb ramps, they have catch basins right above them, I mean, this one as well.
Right.
So that's a constraint, we could have made them longer, but we can't start modifying catch basins. And, so there'll be smaller landscaped areas. It's something to keep in mind.
Thank you.
With that, I conclude the presentation and, open the question.
Thanks so much, Bassam. Nice job. Nice job. Before we continue our conversation, I thought maybe I'd see if we had public comment and invite them to speak.
Yes, we have public comment, Casey Law.
Mr. Law? You want to get the podium or?
Yeah, you can use the microphone. Get the honor of the microphone.
Yeah. Right, hi everyone, I'm Casey Law, I'm a resident, I'm a commissioner in the Environment Commission. I'm here before, so you recognize me. I'm also, attentive to street safety concerns and sustainability in our transportation system. That's why I like to come here and talk about these things. And I'm really encouraged by the pointed questions that many of you are asking about the bulldozers. That's kind of the principal thing I want to raise here tonight. I think it's really a very clear trade-off between safety for pedestrians and throughput for cars. And I think people have put their finger on it pretty clearly. So there was a question also about the history of why this is coming out now, which I think was asked. So I've only lived here 6 years, not as long as many of the esteemed commissioners have lived here, but I have been attentive to the stories about this street. And I think it helps explain a little bit of that. School design group actually designed many of these features on Fair Oaks about 10 or 15 years ago, I think it was, my understanding. So if you'd like to know the intention of how this change aligns with tool consulting group, to design groups, designs for the future of South Pasadena, you don't need to look very hard, it's in place. That's what they wanted, because they recognized that bulb out is an important safety feature for pedestrians. About 3 years ago, there was a public process to revisit and revise, potentially. And on that scope of work was removal, broadly, it was not specified. I helped organize a lot of people to provide public comments and push back on that. So the degree we could, we had 60 public comments that came to council, actually, sorry, came to this commission, the Metro Transportation Infrastructure Commission. So 60 comments here, it's pretty big for a small commission, I have to say. They were all in favor of keeping them. This item then came to a public outreach process, which was held in this room in 2023, in which there were sketches, there were all sorts of boards and people posted notes up. And those posted notes were overwhelmingly in favor of the bulb out preservation. To my memory, I've never seen a formal report of what that consensus was on what the outreach process included, but that was certainly what I saw when the posted notes. And then finally, this item appeared on the consent calendar for council in June of this year, which was a surprise to me because they've been dormant for about 2 years. And I feel like that's not a very respectful thing to do to a community that has pushed really hard to preserve this basic safety. So I feel like you've asked the right questions, and I hope that you can actually push back on staff's suggestion here and preserve the rollouts. I'll say one other final thing. During the outreach process, there was a very moving public comment from a friend of mine who has kids who have very severe autism. They actually try to cross the street independently to try to live independent lives. And that's really not a possibility if they feel that. So that's like an example of why we build these things. It's not about throughput, it's about safety and people live independent lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Phil, do we have any other public comment?
Not
Okay. All right, well, and that's live and virtual, right?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. All right, so we'll close public comment. The hot topic seems to be the bulb outs. So, we can do it any way y'all want. Maybe I just do one cycle around and get people's thoughts, feelings, to the extent not already expressed.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I won't repeat myself too much, but I definitely would support retaining the bulb outs that are currently there. The ability to improve the flow of or ease of vehicles turning right, to me, from a residential street, it is not as compelling as the need for improved safety for pedestrians and the overall pedestrian environment. I certainly, El Centro, I'm at that intersection fairly often. I've never seen a backup of people waiting to take a right turn from El Centro onto Fair Oaks. That's just doesn't seem like a very compelling need, but to have an extra vehicle where you're trying to cross now, if you're having 3 vehicles wide versus just 2 vehicles to contend with crossing, it just makes it for a less desirable, more exposed crossing for pedestrians. And so from that standpoint, as well as from, again, just the overall streetscape, if you're right in front of Starbucks, to have that extra sidewalk space of buffer from vehicles to me is a benefit to the community over having more vehicles able to turn more easily. And I'm curious about the feedback from the community that was mentioned in the tool report, because similar to what Casey had mentioned, the overwhelming feedback from the community that I've heard is very, very supportive of keeping those curb bulb outs. Everybody I've heard from has said that. So I would propose as part of this, if the commission is compelled to do so, we make a motion that gets, because I know there's also members of the council that are have concerns about this, that if they hear from the commission as well, that overwhelmingly the commission wanted to make a motion to retain those curb bolts, then that might be compelling. That's it. So.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Sharma.
Yeah, I think, just to echo what everyone said, I think coming into this, I had the most questions about the removal of the bulb outs, and for the reasons we've all talked about, and it was just shared. And we've covered it, and I guess a question I have is, this is the 50%. This is the 50% plans received. And then you're looking at 90% in about a month's time. Like how is what we're saying fitting into the comments you all are looking to develop? Right? Like, are you looking to, because if this is the 50% presentation and you all have thoughts, I'm sure yourself, do you have significant comments that you're also submitting to change? I guess basically what I'm asking is, if we're not moving forward with removal of the bulb outs, how significant of a change is that going to be when added to what you are gonna change through your comments?
I haven't had a chance to see Basam's comments. My comments were looking at errors I saw in like traffic signal plans, full schedules, commenting on the radii of the vertical turns, commenting on if we're planting a tree too close to an intersection, things like that. If the direction or the recommendation that the commission is providing to us is leave the bulb outs as is, that would be a change that would push the delivery date of 90% out.
And then I guess my last question is, sometimes with grants, you've got to stick to the project as submitted. How tied are the funds that you're trying to spend before June 30th to what you have? Like, would a significant removal of what you're presenting impact the funds?
It could impact completion.
Like in terms of access to funds is the question.
So we have until June 30th to complete this project. You preferably would like to finish the project a few months before that, so you have time to submit all your invoices, final documents. You don't want to be right up on that date.
Yeah.
Traffic signals have a long lead time, as I'm sure we all know. So we don't have, I would say we have maybe 3 or 4 months at most of, room, even with the pace we're trying to move at, for any hiccups or errors or setbacks. And that's not assuming if we have an issue during the bidding process where we may have to reject all bids and go back and advertise again, because that's a month and a half. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So we're trying to leave that 3-4 months to allow us time if we do need to reject all bids and go advertise again, so we don't fall too behind. With these comments tonight, we're trying to get these comments back to our consultant by the end of the week, so that they have their directions to move forward, because we've given them a very aggressive schedule. And so they're demanding, they're expecting an aggressive schedule from us as well.
So it's not going to be a material change to the project enough to jeopardize.
Oh, to jeopardize the funding? No. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap.
Sure, I think I've been at several of these meetings. We've talked about this project, so I'll spare Commissioner Nagelson that. That's not what I've said. I think removing them is just gonna make it easier for folks to drive. to drive down the streets, and encourage more people to cut through and drive down the streets. And I think the angular nature of them is something that should be improved upon, but I think all in all, I think the pedestrian safety aspect of it, or the shortening the crossing distance outweighs like the inconvenience that it might be to cut through on the streets.
Thank you. Vice Chair Brunel.
Thank you. Yeah, just agreeing with other commissioners. Yeah, absolutely. I think, we should be retaining the pedestrian safety features that we have in the city. And I think removing them would also be a symbol saying that, the city of South Pasadena is not prioritizing pedestrian safety, and rather we are prioritizing vehicle throughput, trying to make it easier for people to drive. And I don't think that's our city's goals, right? And so I think that in any project, we should always be thinking about prioritizing pedestrian safety as one of the #1 goals. I think a lot of people live in South Pasadena because they want safe streets, they want places for their kids to be walking. And like a community member mentioned, folks to be living independently. So I think, I'm also concerned if we're considering removing bulb outs here in this project, that could lead to other projects happening on that as well. And I think that's the reason why I was asking about the project schedule, is that it seems like, you're moving really fast in the design. You already have the 50% plans, I haven't seen like the actual 50% plan sets. This was just a presentation, discussing it, but we didn't get to review like the actual design documents. And so that's why I was curious, I understand you have a funding deadline, I'm an urban planner, I understand grant deadlines. But I think it sounds like this project has been going on for a long time, so I don't think we should be concerned about changes to the design that would prioritize pedestrian safety and just to try to save the schedule of the project. I think, yeah, so I think, we should absolutely be, restoring or retaining the bulb outs that we have in this project. And I think especially Commissioner Jones, your point on if someone is, approaching the intersection, a car is gonna creep up through there and be blocking pedestrians from moving. And it's just gonna create a lot of conflicts and safety concerns for people crossing. And yeah, I walk on Hope Street every day, coming from the train station. I live off of Hope. And I don't see, similar to what you're saying with El Centro, I don't see a bunch of people queuing up to trying to make a right turn, or people trying to, that are blocked because they're making a left turn or whatever. So I don't think, just from personal experience, that it's a concern. And I would love to see the community feedback that the community member talked about, saying, people came to the design charrettes, they wanted to see the curb ramps pertained in the project. It's not something that was discussed in this presentation. There was a mention that community members also were concerned about right turns. And so I'm just curious, where those things are coming from, and what are we weighing? Why are we weighing one thing higher than the other when it sounds like overwhelmingly community supports to keep the bulb outs?
Thank you.
Yeah. I guess my question is, if we as a commission choose to vote against the cutout of the bulbs, does that hold up the project in any way?
No, I mean, we would have to go to our consultant, tell them our commission is recommending this. Have them take a look at it from the traffic standpoint, have them provide their professional recommendation. And then if we're overwhelmingly hearing that this is what we want to retain, then I think we can talk to us to work on that. I'm not here saying we have to remove it. That came from the tool design report. That's a recommendation our consultant said. I have a comment I'd like to make, but I'd like to wait.
So do I.
Okay.
Let's finish.
Well, I remember when they first went in and how many cars ran over them. And pedestrians jumping out of the way. And it was a learning curve that we had those there, and so you don't drive down the parking lane, try to make a right turn, especially down Fair Roads. So it's been an asset. I was dead set against it when they first came out. But it's been an improvement to our city, so, I think that I would probably vote not to have them cut out if we were taking a vote, if we were casting our recommendation. But I don't want to fall behind on spending $10 million.
Sir, can I just ask a procedural question? So there's nothing for us, you're just asking for our recommendation, right? There's not an item to approve or something.
Feedback.
It's not an action item. We're here to
Yeah.
share the progress with you, get your comments, get your opinions, your recommendations, so we know how to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask another procedural question? Sorry, does this go to council? Does this need to go to council?
That's
Given
gonna be
that
one of
they
my
approve the scope. You know, if you go to your consultant and the plans go to council and they see it differently, are you then changing?
If we
The
go to
project.
council and your question is if we go to council to award the project
With
and
a
we
hundred.
haven't removed, and we have not removed the bulb out.
And there's this, yeah, and I guess that would delay the project too, if there wasn't concurrence at that level.
Well, when we go that evening, we would just tell our council that, you know, we had originally, our traffic engineers had recommended removal of the bulb out after hearing from the community and the commission and the community. We decided to retain them. I still have a comment I want to make. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard from the community, but, okay.
Well, the
Anything
tool
else?
report, the
Okay.
tool report is.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I stepped in it tonight, so I was intending to keep my head down. So,
Not allowed here.
yeah, I've made apparent my position, I'm sure, I just, yeah, pedestrian safety, pedestrian experience, I think, well said, the message to the community, I think outweighs the traffic throughput concerns, so of course, I would want to keep them.
I have plenty to say, but you're itching to say something, so go ahead. You have a comment.
I was just gonna ask, what would the commission's opinion be on if we retain bulb outs, but we shorten them slightly on the side streets? Because also when cars are turning right, well, let's say you're going southbound, trying to turn right now you have 9 or 10 feet for each lane.
Yes.
And cars have a
About 10
hard
feet.
time turning,
Okay.
that causes backup as well. If you reduce the bulb outs by, let's say, 1 foot, 1.5 foot, 2 feet, let's say on each side, cars can make the turn a little bit easier. They're not getting hung up, getting cars stuck behind them. Pedestrians aren't being impacted as much. No one can make a right turn. You're not shortening the crosswalk back. I mean, you're not making the crosswalk back a whole lot longer, maybe a few steps. And that may also solve a lot of problems that we're seeing for right turners, not just out of the side streets, but also on Fair Oaks.
Yeah, and I know that exactly where you're talking about too. It's right there on Fair Oaks and Hope.
Or yeah, else.
It's just
Remember those.
Well, what did the traffic study say? Like, are drivers actually having a hard time making the right turn?
He can't, simply they can't now with the.
I mean, I've driven and made.
She's
a right
asking
turn
for
there.
Fair Oaks southbound turning on to Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is a problem
I've
because.
done
Yeah,
the-
that's-
Obviously,
I mean,
it's-
driving here today, I had a hard time going
Yeah.
straight past somebody. on Hope.
Yeah.
It's very,
Well,
Okay.
it's narrow.
okay, hold on, I need to
That's
make
the
my
point.
comments.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm the holdout. This goes back far beyond what Casey said. This goes back to 2017. And it's very funny that what shared here tonight is very different than what has been the consensus of multiple versions of this commission. And what I hear from the community, is that the bulb outs are a nuisance, that they are difficult to navigate in places, that they are dangerous and unsafe, that putting them in doesn't necessarily increase pedestrian safety. You can do that with pedestrian advance or
Mitigation
lead.
with the signal.
You can extend the time for people to cross. So for me, and plus, this is a very limited subset of the original list of bulb out removals and adjustments that were approved by the city council 8 years ago. And this is the problem with a process that goes on and on and on and on and on. So to me, to start revisiting something that was already decided upon some time ago, I mean, and by the way, this is a very narrow list. And I understand pedestrian safety. I've done a lot of work on this in prior commissions to make sure that that's prioritized. But I think, as we've seen, as Commissioner Hernandez, said early on, if you go look at a lot of these bulb outs, they do have series of tire tracks across them, especially these narrow. What's odd about some of them, like the one that there's Hope, El Centro, Oxley, they're very narrow streets already. And then you have these curb extensions pinching it even more, so that if you're trying to make the turn, for example, from Mission on to Hope, Mission on to Oxley, Mission on to El Centro, maybe a little bit less there. It's very tight, it's very narrow. And if there is a car waiting to go through from the opposite direction, I don't drive a big car, and I've been very close to colliding with cars. So for me, it's sort of like in the law, there's this concept of res judicata. It's like it's already been litigated. I mean, this has been discussed to death. And what concerned me actually is that, well, I'm very happy to see, for example, Mission at Fair Oaks, the southwest corner in front of Starbucks. There's the bulb out that comes out and prevents right turns, except from the through lane. It's very abrupt. And you also, there you do choke traffic. I agree. For example, on Hope, I don't know how much traffic is really backing up because of the curb extension. For me, it's more about the turns from a major street to a major street and making it a safer turn, not faster, not higher volume, but just safer. And I also get concerned about cars backing up and backing up and backing up. And it's not because I want more cars on the streets. I want them to be able to move through intersections safely. And I get worried with these backups. People do erratic, unusual movements to avoid it. You've got cars sitting there polluting the air while people are sitting, drinking their coffee or having a sandwich, inhaling all of this because the cars aren't moving. So to me, to start talking about removing the few that are on this list, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And I think what should be considered, there are bulb outs, the northwest corner of Fair Oaks at Mission. So turning right, going down Fair Oaks onto Mission, there's an extension there, preventing right turns, dedicated right turns. Traffic backs up, that intersection's a nightmare. You have the same problem at Monterey, another major street, right? You can't turn, you have to turn right from the through lane, right? So it makes traffic back up. So I respect their so I think it's important that the voice of the entire community are to make sure that's not the point. If you change any of this, you're going to need a place to be a lot of people who are already there that and be the that being removed. I think it's something that's going to have to be that the public is not this what we want. Okay, but I think we just I think we're process the public being they have to think of it. I don't know if people are so make sure that well, where that impact on so my hope is people want to use that. There are others that I think should be asked. I think it's less about, well, it's just not a high, the safety, uh, the equipment, the technology, but we also need to be given that space. And that's and that's I think it's diversity, and it's actually I know that maybe when this was in 2017, 2018. I know this from the fact when I look at the budget, how much was spent, there's a big chunk of money that was spent on public outreach program and community meeting, which supposedly had helped in putting the objective of this project and what can be done and what cannot be done is based a lot of community feedback. You got very good point, Chairman, because yeah, if there were 40 or 50 people in those meetings, I guess they don't represent the whole community. And that's really put us in a situation where what should you do really properly here? Well, this brings me to what I wanted to talk about here again, from planning point of view. As we know, like we have funding for all kind of projects. There are the active transportation projects and there are intelligent transportation projects, funded projects. This particular, let's remember again, it's an intelligent transportation. This is not an active transportation project. Intelligent transportation is simply, yes, it is to move vehicular traffic. And all this thing started with the green gas emission, really trying to eliminate car idling at intersections. And as Commissioner said, you're sitting in Starbucks on the sidewalk and all these cars are standing and you're inhaling more than, a lot of things. So yes, the intention here is really to move cars, reduce the number of stops and amount. And obviously part of the synchronization project is you have to also coordinate the side streets. That is said, again, I was saying earlier, my comment, we're not saying, by removing these bulbs, we're not really endangering public safety here at all, because our intention is safety after all. Everybody's intention is safety. So what we're saying is there are alternatives. Like I said earlier, if I'm moving 10 feet of extension, I know my signal timing is going to increase, say 10 seconds or 8 seconds. So everything will, or I can do the all red phasing or the lead pedestrian interval. All these can be mitigation that would alleviate concerns or the fact that, yeah, you're putting people's life in danger by making the crossing wider. The other thing is we're doing this on those already narrow streets.
These are again 40 foot wide. That's a typical residential street where the only thing that it can get narrower, maybe getting closer to an alley or something bigger than that. So that again, that extra 10 feet now travel path is only 20 feet for 10 for each direction. And that's really causing a serious concern about turning movement, upping the curve, and again, queuing and waiting when you don't have to, if you had that additional thing. So when you really, your goal of this project is to move vehicle and again, by reducing environmental impact on, that is resulting from, idling and all these things. We have to think of ways, how can we do both? Move cars, improve safety for bicycles. We can, not this, we are built and we are a car oriented, unfortunately, community, not city or state or country. So we're getting into that active transportation project. And this is, again, the Huntington treatment really is an active transportation. And we're gonna see all these beautiful things come in along these two major corridors. But the funding that was assigned to this one, measuring for this Rogan, it's strictly an intelligent transportation funding. So, yes, we can leave it the way it is because, again, it's not gonna affect our funding whether we leave it or remove it. It's not gonna affect the funding allocation or somebody from Metro gonna come and tell us, sorry, from Caltrans is gonna come and tell us, yeah, you used the wrong funds for the wrong project. No, that's not gonna happen. So this is really, I mean, I can feel everybody here that it seems like consent here is that, yeah, you wanna keep them. And I really understand exactly what you're saying, removing them. Yes, we're probably gonna have to go to council. And you don't wanna go to council at awarding time, construction time, and somebody's gonna say, yeah, nobody told us about it, or we don't know about it. So it's really something, Michael and I probably gonna talk about, and we'll talk to our consultant, we'll discuss it internally, but at least we heard you, and really very good points from everyone.
Also, I suggest checking with the city manager.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, I was in Boston a week and a half ago, and virtually every signalized intersection has an exclusive pedestrian phase. Which I thought was just, I mean, it's simple, but it's brilliant. Has that been considered?
What do you mean?
So there's a phase where no cars are traveling, scramble crosswalk, right?
Yeah, the diagonal crossing.
Pedestrian only green, right? Diagonal,
That's when you do diagonal crossing.
yeah, so,
That's in the Fair Oaks and here in Colorado.
yeah, every city except us has it. So is that something that's possible in terms of
No,
an extra level of
not on this
pedestrian?
page because of too many things. First of all, the most important thing is you don't have the pedestrian volume. So literally, when you're stopping cars on Fair Oaks, you're stopping, say, I don't know, 1,000 cars, expecting 1 or 2 pedestrian crossing diagonally.
I mean, you compare Colorado.
Those are used heavily and where there's really a high pedestrian traffic. Again, Fair Oaks in Colorado is a good example there. That's it. But you wouldn't consider diagonal crossing on a
Because the
normal.
volume isn't high enough. Because the pedestrian volume is.
Yes, definitely. It's not warranted at that. Because like you said it, what you're doing is you're putting the entire intersection on red for a good 20 or 30 seconds when there is only one person.
There might be some people.
And all
who
what
like
it
that.
takes. And really, yeah, I mean, there's one person coming from Starbucks, all what they need to do is push that button and you're stopping 10,000 cars in both directions.
Okay.
Good.
Got it. Yeah, that's fine. And if somebody wants to make a motion to, that's fine.
Okay, I just wanna just quickly respond to what you're saying, and I completely respect, just you bring a lot of history to the commission, which is really helpful to all of us. And just understanding this project and how it has evolved over time and the history of it, which seems very interesting. And I think also to Commissioner Dunlap's point about community engagement too, I think I'm trying to get an understanding of like what the actual community feedback was on this project and what strategies, tool design used to engage the community. So it sounds like there was 60 public comments coming in support of keeping the bulb outs. But then like what other types of things did they do? I know they did the design charrette, but like, you know, to Commissioner Apelson's point, like people come to those things because they're interested in this specifically. But, you know, typically with community engagement on projects, like to go out and meet the community where they are, to be able to talk to more people and really engage people in a meaningful way, rather than just, you know, make people come to you, and then the only people that come are the ones that are like really interested and motivated in a certain thing. So I think just like, I'm really curious about like what the actual feedback was and who was engaged and what strategies were employed. And then I also just want to briefly make a comment about like, yes, while this is like an ITS project, and like, I understand, like, we live in a car dominated culture, like, absolutely. But I think just like, if we can like take a step back from that and think about like, if we are making it easier and more convenient for people to drive, that is what people will continue to choose. And if we really want to make our streets safer for people to walk and bike and take transit, South Pasadena has great transit, really high quality, frequent transit, not only the, you know, metro, but also, you know, the bus system, the metro bus system as well, train and bus. So I think if we can think about that and try to encourage people not to be just choosing a car for, you know, all of these short trips that they're doing. And so I think just thinking about that more broadly, you know, with this project, like if you're removing bulb outs, it's just gonna make it easier for people to drive, you know? So I think it goes against a lot of the goals of what we're trying to accomplish.
I'm very sympathetic to the needs of drivers, certainly, and it's not my objective to really slow people down a whole lot or inconvenience them, get them out of their cars by means of inconvenience, as much as I just don't see the rationale that we have here for these specific crossings, specific locations where we're saying that cars, vehicles are backing up, queuing up to make a right turn from El Centro onto Fair Oaks. I'm at that intersection fairly often. I just don't see that at El Centro or Oxley. I think maybe Hope for that matter too. I don't know. I mean, Mission, certainly that it occurs there, but I don't know. I guess Chair Abelson, is that a circumstance you see at those at El Centro or Oxley of vehicles queuing up to make a right turn and not?
No, that was not one of the grounds I listed, and I didn't come up with this specific subset. I think, for me, the bulb outs, I mean, personally, I don't like any of them, personally. But the ones that I think are most important to remove are the ones that choke traffic on Mission, either off of Mission or onto Mission. So, for example, I'm sorry, Fair Oaks. So, for example, going south on Fair Oaks, a number of these locations, to me, it would be the bulb out on the northwest corner. So turning right from Mission onto the narrow street, that's where it's a very dangerous turn in my perspective. If there's a car waiting there to go through, you get very close because you can't hug, you have to pull out and then go around. So for me, the northwest corners from the major street to the minor street are the ones that should be removed entirely, as well as Mission onto Fair Oaks in front of Starbucks. That's a mess, that intersection, all directions. Because that's traffic just backs up and sits there, and for the reasons already stated. So for me, it's not about getting the traffic from the small street onto the major street.
I guess that's the point I was making. I think Mission is kind of the oddball of this list here, but for the rest of them, I don't see there being that issue of.
Yeah, if I could vote for a different list.
Yeah.
I mean,
To the point of like turning radius or something like that, I mean, I'm sympathetic to that concern if we need to adjust these by a foot to make it.
And if we're gonna revisit locations, that's fine, but a lot of these that are on this list, by the way, are ones where if you go look, there are a series of tire tracks.
But
across
that can be
Manhattan.
addressed by other means, by landscaping or.
Sure,
by-
which will then die and then have to be maintained as well. But so that's the other thing too, with these planners, we should just keep in mind, because that'll be part of my regular comments. We put planners in and then we don't maintain them, and then they look like you know what, and it's embarrassing. So I think we have to be careful about this. And to me, if consensus is to remove or change, and you guys want to make a motion, that's fine. I would say no to it, but I just want to make sure the process is followed correctly, so there isn't retribution, blowback, God only knows what else.
I mean, so from what we understood from the tool design report was that the community spoke and said they're having issues with right turns. They didn't specify exactly which corners, but they did specify that on Fair Oaks, they have issues with right turns. Tool design also mentioned the importance of keeping bulb outs on Fair Oaks. That's the major thoroughfare. That's where you want to shorten crosswalk distances. So as we started the design process with our consultant, we started looking at, okay, well, if we hear from our community that we're having difficulty with right turns, where are we seeing that? You know, these side streets that you don't really need to keep the crosswalk length that short. To Commissioner Jones' point, yes, you're absolutely right. You can stop a car there. I don't know if someone will get seriously injured because the car is parked there, right? They'll be inconvenienced, but I don't know if serious injury can occur. So safety isn't being lowered for pedestrian, but maybe inconvenience is being increased. Anyways, that's where we got to this point, right? We looked at tool design report says that right turns are being difficult. Keep bulb outs on Fair Oaks seems like the logical thing to do. Tonight we're hearing we don't want to touch the bulb outs, which almost conflicts with the tool design report. We're hearing about other intersections like Mission and Monterey, which I understand that point as well. Mission and Fair Oaks at the southwest corner is being removed. So we're just looking for direction. No matter what we hear tonight, I think it is going to be important that we talk to the city manager. Let him know, this is the direction we're going forward with. This was based on our tool design report. This was based on our traffic engineer consultants' comments. We're hearing something different from our Public Works Commission.
Can I just be honest here?
Sure.
Like, I feel like you keep saying the tool design report.
Sure.
Because you know that it's something popular that people have asked for. And so you keep saying that, like, because we've asked for like the tool design report, so you keep saying like, oh, we're conflicting with the tool design report.
I'm not
Like,
saying
I guess that's what it feels. I mean, that's what it feels like. And at least like right now, if we talk about the tool design report that has very innovative treatments along like Fremont and Huntington, well, we're not getting any of those, right? We're getting like some green paint, you know what I mean? That doesn't even connect to class 2 bike facilities. So I guess that's my, yeah.
If I may,
I just want to be.
on Huntington
correct.
project, we've attached the tool design report. I don't want to use it as a buzzword. That's not my
Okay.
intention here.
Okay,
We've attached that report to the request for proposal so that our consultant knows
Okay.
that they are to draw their ideas from that tool design report.
okay,
Which was vetted by the community with the
Yeah.
insurance outreach, 2022, 2023.
okay,
So that's gonna be what they base their design on. Now, can they implement everything from the design report?
right,
Maybe not,
okay,
right? But that's the
I
design
think what
process.
you're saying though is the tool design is overwhelming pedestrian friendly, and you're taking the one element of that may be more vehicle friendly and promoting that one element versus any of the elements that are the
The
pedestrian-
landscaping at these bulb outs is pedestrian friendly. That came from I'm not gonna use it. It came from the report. That's, in how they'd like to see bulb outs designed with trees to create more comfortable environments for pedestrians as they wait at a crosswalk.
Well, let's just be
Perfect.
clear
I
that
mean-
this list, and the list from which this was taken, was developed well before the tool report.
Yes.
Years before it. So to Eric's point, I mean, the tool report's interesting,
Mhm.
but I don't know if it's controlling one way or the other. Obviously I disagree with my friends here, but, there's a history that led up to this that it has nothing to do. Well, the ironic thing about it, the reason the original Public Works Commission was created was because of the backlash from the installation of these bulb outs 20 years ago. Right, so just context.
Yeah.
Right, so, by the way, so what I'm just having a hard time understanding is when you've got a narrow street like Hope, what real benefit other than making cars make a more severe turn? What's the benefit of pinching or narrowing a crossing across a very narrow street? Like, even though I disagree with it, I understand the concept of visually narrowing the crossing across a major street, right? Whether I agree with it or not, I understand it. But when we're talking about a side street that's already crazy narrow, what is the benefit of pinching it even more, other than making the turns around them more difficult? I'm just wondering. I'm asking you all. I mean, I know emotionally and sort of philosophically, it sounds great. Oh, we're narrowing intersections, but if an intersection's already very narrow, what are we really benefiting? How are we really benefiting by retaining these? Okay, so maybe you're preventing somebody from making a right turn. Okay, so you're backing up traffic a little, but I don't think you're increasing pedestrian safety when it's already very narrow. You're not, what are you really doing? I mean, you're making it more narrow, but are you really adding any incremental benefit there? I wonder. Just a thought.
I would say, yes, you are.
I think.
Yeah, because anytime you have somebody making a right turn on red, entering a crosswalk at any point, there's a pedestrian in there, you have a conflict point. We've had close calls, yanking a child back from a car who's making a right turn without slowing down. So if you're preventing, the current format right now we have on the side streets entering onto Fair Oaks, there's very little opportunity for right turn on red if there's somebody already waiting in that spot. So you actually have like a sort of car buffer that's allowing you to cross safely without anybody making that right turn from the side street onto Fair Oaks. But if you open that up and make it 2 lanes and allow that car to go through, you now have a visual block because you have the person sitting in the middle lane, and you're passing that, and if somebody's coming through, making the right turn through that crosswalk, you have a conflict point there. And that's where, if you've got somebody who's just not feeling like doing what they should do, which is stop at the crosswalk, then creep out, somebody just decides to roll into it, that's a close call almost all the time, and all through the city it's that way. And so I do believe there is a significant benefit, and it's not just a theoretical one, not just a street crossing, but there's an actual safety buffer there.
Okay. I would say to that, if there's data that supports the fact that there's a safety issue within an intersection, right? And right, but we have lots of intersections in town, right? That most of which, in my opinion, thankfully, don't have bulb out. You know, near a school, absolutely. Densely populated area or a shopping district, like on Mission, for example, you know. But to do it, I understand what you're saying. But I'm just saying, unless there's data to support the fact that, oh, you know, this intersection or this location, there's a problem with people not stopping at the red. I mean, the bulb out's one solution, I guess. Another is no right turn on red. But that's enforcement dependent too. So, yeah, I guess there are pros and cons with a lot of this. I would say, even though it's against my position, if the consensus here is you want to provide some clear direction, then maybe you do some kind of a motion or something to give staff some sort of concrete thoughts.
I would support that. Just,
I
we've
got
had
issues
issues with
with
them, the minutes and getting things recorded in the meeting minutes and getting communicated to the council, I guess. So I would support putting a motion forward. So I guess that would be a motion to retain the curb bulb outs. I guess the question is it at every one of these locations, or do we leave open? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want to answer before you ask the question. If we either do it all or we don't do it, because we're gonna be under the same heat if we only do one versus not doing one. And there's gonna be somebody, whether it's council member or community member, who's gonna say, why did you remove it here, not there? So honestly, I would not suggest being, selected in terms of one or two. Those at least, with our consultant right now, they identified like, yeah, we can improve, vehicular movement at these locations by doing that. But, maybe Starbucks can use it, but I really don't want to do one versus, one or two from this list. Either we do them all or we don't do them. Get the heat.
Sorry, I'm a little unclear on methodology for compiling this list.
Sorry. Years of.
No, I mean, is it like, I think is it that you looked at data, traffic data that said it was hard to make a right turn? Is it just from the community feedback that said it was hard to make a right turn? I mean,
It's design standards. Turning movement gets harder when.
no, why you pick these specific, you pick these specific intersections because they're the narrower streets.
Sure,
Okay.
yes. And again,
I mean,
obviously, again, 5-6 years ago, there were some kind of community involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to figure. I mean, I am of the view, having turned from Fair Oaks onto Hope, I have turned more slowly from Fair Oaks onto Hope because of the bulb, and I think that's safer for pedestrians. And so, in my view, there's a benefit to having that. And so, to your point,
Slowing down, turning. movement.
yes. But to your point, and the question I asked, whatever, 20 minutes ago, is like, what do you actually need from us? It sounds like you need recommendations from us, not us to prove anything. So,
Right.
I don't know if it makes, and I don't think it cuts against any past decisions or impacts any future decision-making by us sharing or by staff sharing that there were a diversity of recommendations made by this body on, a couple of the items here, in sharing what you heard from us with the different views on bulb outs and, passing that along to the next stage of this process.
Different views, but all same results, I guess. At least the way I understand it, you're all against, including your chairman, you're all against removal of the.
No,
bulb
I'm
outs,
fine
right?
with this list and I wish it were longer.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah,
decision.
Okay,
So, I
okay,
mean-
so,
So I think someone should make I think we should make a motion. And then it sounds like you've made like Commissioner, oh my God, it's late. It's not late, but I'm just tired. Commissioner Curry, you've made a motion. Does that motion, are we? Are we okay with trimming some, like a foot or two, or is that a
Optimize
range
the,
for
giving the
Exactly.
discretion to the designer as they see fit.
are we okay with
that we need
an
to-
8-foot trimming?
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know, that would.
but then it'll be
I-
a costly fee without any results. I mean, I'm getting.
no,
Yeah,
I mean, in the sense of his point, he asked if we were okay with, like.
Trimming a foot, and you're saying, well, what if that is taken to trim it to 8?
Well, it was
Or
posted
just-
with my
yeah,
staff, so I was
Yeah.
just kind of
I
saying.
think
I mean, that was a question I brought up, just
Yeah.
because we do see it's more difficult to turn onto these side streets. If you can cut it back a foot or two.
I think you're
still
gonna have to
pedestrians
fix the
safe.
angular nature of it.
Is that,
Unless you have 1 foot.
I mean, is that like a best practice, trimming the foot results in benefit? Like, is it is it an arbitrary number? Is it a best practice that
I think if
bulbs
it's
that are
approved
shrunk to,
right now, maybe
So,
7 or 8 feet from the right curb face. So if you reduce it by 1 or 2 feet, you still have some amount of a bulb out.
but the ultimate benefit will be to remove it because I want to gain a lane of travel. That's the ultimate benefit.
Yeah.
That 1 or 2 feet is probably a random number to improve a little bit of the turning movement. The ultimate goal of benefit, if I'm gonna remove it, I need to gain a full lane of
Yeah,
travel.
we're not doing that.
And that's what I would make a motion
No,
against
that's
gaining
what
a
I'm
lane
saying,
of
because
traffic
one
on
or
a
two-
residential street.
Will be costly for,
It's still gonna be the
no
same.
benefit.
Okay.
Why do I want to cut 2 feet?
For the
if I'm
whole
not
thing,
using
okay,
it?
articulate your motion?
It's a hard motion, but I mean, that's to me, that's the main thing that I would say, I would make a motion against removing curb bulbs to gain a lane of traffic or a free right turn on, from a residential street. That's, I would make a motion for that. So that, mission is a kind of a separate beast for me, but the rest of these, if it's a residential street, to cut an existing curb bulb to gain a lane of traffic, I would make a motion against that.
That's
as
the
a-
long,
That's
okay.
very.
But we
Okay,
that lane of traffic, we understand it's only at the approach,
Okay.
it's not gonna be a full street lane of traffic.
Yeah, even at the.
Okay,
at the approach at the
I'll make a motion to retain the curb extensions. With the understanding that there may be, conditions where staff needs to adjust them by 1 to 2 feet to accommodate for design purposes.
All of these. All seven.
Does that include Mission and, Fair Oaks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything on the list.
Yeah.
The list, right?
Hmm.
The list, yeah.
Is there any recommendation to add bulb outs?
That's a separate motion.
I'm asking. We're here to get direction because, we want to be able to say,
Is it an action item?
it's not,
Okay.
it's not an action item, but
I want to say it's Friday.
either way, I mean, I
Okay.
wrote down comments, so I know the
we
feedback.
rush need to conserve everything.
Yeah.
Give us feedback, but, if it's something that the commissioners want to have the consultant look into, better make a decision at a later date, maybe that's something I could propose. I've been here long enough, I know in 2011, 2010, 2011, when the Bob outs were installed was a big issue. I know there's a need now to adjust some because of the traffic signal light installation. Those are some Bob outs that will be altered because of the installation of that. So I just want to bring this all back to.
Okay, so the guidance from staff says that this is not an action item. This is a
It's not, but just to get communicated, recorded in the meeting minutes and notified to the council, I've heard that we should be taking more motions to document.
That's
the
what we were
actual.
told a couple of meetings ago,
Mhm.
which I also don't agree with, but that's what we heard, so.
But I was just gonna say, to the other point though, of where there is the need to reduce a current bulb for the purpose of a pole, it's like, I would say we should have a motion to have the designer review those if that is indeed necessary, or if there's other alternate ways to accommodate those poles without a curb.
So maybe we can go back to the consultant and exactly ask a question, where do you need them for, signal poles?
Mhm.
There-
And is there an alternate?
Yes, we will send a message like, yeah, it's not a popular item and, let's see what can we do. However, if it's necessary to accommodate a signal pole, again, then let it be. And that's when we probably gonna be selective about the locations and come back with a really good reason why you removed it, so I can put a signal.
Yeah, I don't know that cutting it 1 or 2 foot, it's really gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
I honestly.
Yeah, the point of that was Michael said, oh, do we need to move it a little bit? And I was thinking like, oh, there might be, I don't want staff taking this direction and thinking, oh, their designer can't, if they need to adjust it for some sort of.
That's 12 inches. So if we take 2 of those, is it really gonna make a difference?
No, I'm not trying,
No.
I'm not trying to make, I'm just saying like for drainage reasons
Oh.
or signal pole reasons, is staff taking this as like, oh, we can't like
Yeah.
we can't move it a foot or 2. I'm not trying to impose, I don't think that the spirit of this is to impose those kind of constraints on the designer, that they're looking at a signal pole or drainage and they're saying like, well, we have to keep it, 9 feet from the curb. That, just because they asked, that's the only reason why I wanted.
That was just to have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, does it help
Okay.
if I second your motion? Does that?
I was just gonna
Well, do
say,
we have a
Russ made a
motion? yet?
motion, Eric made a motion,
Yeah,
so
I don't know if
Whatever
we're
you
gonna
guys
get a
wanna do.
motion.
well, I think we should make a motion. I agree with Commissioner Kerwin, like we talked about that at a previous meeting, and I feel like that's how we can get our recommendations across to the council. That's what I understand. So. I
It'd
think
just be
we
the
should-
sentiments of the commission
Yeah.
are to prioritize pedestrian safety and retaining curb bulbs where possible. I mean, it could be something.
Retaining curb bulbs, period.
Yeah, retaining,
Bulb outs.
retaining all existing bulb outs. But then I think having something where we say like designer discretion of like what
No.
we're talking about. Oh, no, like
Just don't leave any, they can come back to the commission. So
Okay,
I would,
sure.
I would move, I would move that. And again, and Tana, I get like this is a presentation, but I guess Omari emphasized it, that. But I would say, move that there's a consensus today on the commission.
It's not, the meeting is not set as a conditional approval, it's just a presentation.
Okay.
I want to protect the commission as well, and once any decision that comes out of here, we want to justify, so if it's a need for more input in the next design, these are directions we like to see. We'll take those in.
So I'm
It's
sorry,
my concern for the whole body.
I'm kind of question.
Okay.
If they do a motion, does that makes it, an action item?
It wasn't been presented as an action or an action item where the commission would decide. It was just a presentation, so it's the first iteration of the presentation. You could request us to come back with the, taking all your comments.
Yeah,
Because you want to, the decision that comes out as we get it to you, will be something we'll take to council, we want to make sure we have all the information. There is a time crunch for the project, we understand and we're cognizant of that it creates for you. But we also want to retain better, whatever comes out.
So I will just say,
okay.
we had put and this is a hurriedly put together meeting, special meeting, but we had put a process in place where I would look at the draft agenda before it was published, but this was very rushed. So I didn't, I would, if I had, I would have said, move it to an action item, because I had a feeling, given the interest in the topic and sensitivities to the issues that, but it is what it is. It was notices and presentations and tendencies. I just brought up the motion concept because of comments made by Councilmember Ferguson a couple of meetings ago that I think are inaccurate, but it was in reaction to the fact that we had received minutes to review, which were pretty much blank. So that some of us were upset about it, and then we were told, oh, well, there was no motion, so therefore there's nothing. Now, the last set of minutes were better, whether it was a motion or not. So I'm in the shrinking, the lone minority here, so whatever you all want to do is fine. Whatever staff thinks is best is fine. I just want to make sure you're hearing what we're all saying, and that you do what you think is best in terms of next steps. So it sounds to me like 7, want them all gone. I mean, retained, right? Retained as
Rebuilt
is.
afterwards with ADA current standards without removing the spirit of the bulb outs.
Well, what's have a spirit? That's another meeting.
The function.
Uh,
So
Um,
we're gonna reconstruct them, to be clear. It's not gonna remain as.
So we're spending a
is.
lot of money to keep them. Right? Are you saying we're
Well,
reconstructing them?
I'm saying that's what it sounds like.
No, you're spending a lot of money on the signal. That's
Right.
that's expensive thing, like.
Yeah, but we're upgrading the ramps to ADA, so we're gonna reconstruct them, but we're gonna reconstruct them the same way, more or less, right, as they are now.
Right,
That's
so I think that's what they are saying.
Right.
The 7.
Right.
The one,
Saying remove
the one is, and I, please note it. Is I would like to see the bulb outs southbound Mission onto southbound Fair Oaks onto westbound Mission removed, and the bulb out from southbound Fair Oaks onto westbound Monterey removed. And the bulb out southbound Fair Oaks onto westbound Hope removed. So the one across the street for the one you're proposing to remove.
So all the northwest ones at Hope, Mission, and Monterey.
Unfair.
That's a much cleaner way of saying it. Well done. That's the humanities versus the engineer. So that's my suggestion. So those who made motions, are you comfortable with leaving this, or do you Or do you want anything more?
And what about El Centro?
Well, it sounds like the 7 commissioners wanted to not remove any bulb outs. And Chair
Except for
Abelstein is
those
stating
going
to-
south on Fair at Oak, Mission,
No, I don't think we're removing any of them. I think
oh,
that's the majority.
Well, as it sits now, we
Yeah.
are. That's what's in the plan.
But,
But the but the majority of the commission doesn't want to see it.
That's also.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion. I don't care if it's a presentation. I just want to move forward. Move to retain the existing code exemptions. If it's not an action, I don't know if staff can call the roll, but I guess verbally we'll, do I have a second? A second by Commissioner Kerwin. I assume like all in favor? Aye, and opposed?
Aye.
So
It's in the video.
So whether or
Can I,
not it's. an
can I
action-
add one sentence to your motion?
No.
You already voted, but.
Yeah, we voted.
Okay, so unless it's needed for a signal pole. That's my only. If they need that really to put a signal pole, that's.
I
only-
think that's very.
I think, no,
specific.
no, I think,
That's a different question.
I think we made it, I don't know if it can be as a presentation item, but I think we can move forward. If it needs it for a signal pole, and I think if it's major, more than like a couple feet, let's come back and talk about it in the next like design. issue.
Yeah,
That's
we-
what I would,
That'll be 90% design. Permission.
well, we called a yeah, okay.
And
Well,
we can-
maybe your designer, maybe you can talk to your designer, they can give you a heads up before. And we can talk about it, agendize it at a commission meeting or something like that.
Yeah, we would know by then. definitely,
September
yeah.
10th. or
No, we're not- yeah.
October,
We
whenever
will
that
know
is.
this week, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
We just have to ask.
I mean, is there a way to get that feedback once you've talked to the designer, shared this input?
I
with
can
them
share the
to-
feedback, I mean, whatever the consultant tell us, especially if it's needed for signal pole, that's the only thing I would add. I know, well,
Don't forget the important political stuff.
My concern is you
As well.
can't just contact one commissioner at a time. This is what they said, this is what they said, and have individual conversation with each person. If the overarching direction or recommendation we're hearing tonight is don't remove the bulb outs, then we're gonna have to go back to our traffic consultant and say, this is what we're hearing. We're gonna have to go to city manager's office and say, this is what we're hearing. We're gonna have to go back to 2023 and really see what all the data that we received was from all the outreach events,
Or even further, maybe.
or even further.
I mean, that's right.
Because it can't, the decision shouldn't only, and I understand this may get me in trouble, but shouldn't only be made by the 8 people around the state.
Right, because we're
100%,
not making,
100%.
it doesn't sound like we're making any decisions. We're just making a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Right, so with any recommendation, you take it or you don't,
Right.
right? So like, as far as I see, this is a voted upon recommendation that gets pushed on to the next stage and is now memorialized. It's not an order,
Right.
it's a recommendation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you know, if it's not practical because of polls or other things, then it's not an accepted recommendation, right? Like, the project has to move forward.
Yeah, that's all we ever are is advisory, right?
Yeah.
Your directions from city manager and city council. Right?
And the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
With all the. We serve the community.
Well, this has been beaten to death. Is there anything more we can cover on this or? We're good? Okay, all right. Well, thanks, everyone. Good conversation. I think the only thing left are the minutes, yeah?
Yes.
So item 4. Speaking of minutes. Approval of the minutes of our last regular meeting, August 13th. We all had a chance to review. Does anybody have any adjustments, corrections, additions, deletions? I'm sorry, what was that? Nothing? I don't think I had anything this time.
I have a question for you, and I guess it's more Philip and staff. So when we go back and make, sometimes I reference the old minutes, believe it or not. Like I'll go back and look at what was discussed at the previous meeting. And I know sometimes we'll, at a subsequent meeting, make amendments to the minutes. Do you go back and change those in the previous minutes? Or are the changes noted in the the minutes where they're adopted. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think you're saying like, right now, you made changes to this.
Right.
And then for the last meeting.
Would you go back and change
Yeah.
these? Okay, that's
And
what,
then it's sent to Sherry Wilson, and it was sent to you before.
Great.
To see just the final date,
I change it all
and
and
yeah, you like see that.
Yeah,
hey,
thank you.
know, Commissioner Dunlap mentioned
Yeah.
this, and, the minutes don't reflect that change, then it was, Sherry and
Great,
communicate that with staff before, when he signs off as well.
thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't reading fake news.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. Can't avoid it.
Okay, you go back. Appreciate it.
All right, one typo, I can't resist.
Yeah.
So it's, item 5, last paragraph. I echoed Commissioner Dunlap's, see, there's just an extra S there. It's Dunlap apostrophe S. You see it? Not Dunlap's, this is,
Yeah.
but the notion is
Yeah, I think all.
very, very minor nit,
Good catch.
critical. Anything else for anyone?
No.
All right. Okay, well, I'll move to approve as amended. Second?
Second.
Oh, Commissioner Hernandez seconded with a very quick third by Commissioner Sharma. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll
Aye.
abstain as
And Commissioner Jones abstains. It's not here. Okay, I think that brings us to, well, we already heard from Councilmember Ferguson, which is item 5. So item 6, Commissioner Communications. I'll go around the table, I'll flip it. We'll start with Commissioner Jones. If you have anything, any topics you'd like to share with the group? No requirements?
No.
Okay,
pass on along.
all right, thank you. Commissioner Hernandez.
I don't have any. I thank you all for the support. For champion of the year,
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That was-
it was actually very well, received. We had great turnout. It was an honor, so I thank you and thank our community for the support.
Very well deserved. Thank you. Vice Chair Brunel,
No, nothing to see.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Nothing today. So.
Commissioner Sharma,
Thank you to the staff for putting together a special meeting. Special meetings are just that take a lot of extra work, so appreciate that.
Commissioner Kerwin.
Also say thank you. Sorry if I was, overly aggressive in any comments or anything like that. I appreciate the staff very much. You guys are doing a great job and welcome Commissioner Jones, I guess, for your first
Oh,
meeting.
yes, I forgot. We're gonna,
Get a rundown on.
Can you give us like a high level?
Sure, yeah, happy to. Let's see, LA native, I've been in South Pasadena, I think 8 years. My wife and I have a daughter in first grade at AV. I work in lumber. We have a family lumber business, just hit its 100-year a couple years ago. So I'm 4th generation there, and the 5th generation starting to show up, and work goes down in Linwood. Let's see, studied land use in law school. Don't practice, but that's all I got. Ride my bike a lot.
Sounds great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And congratulations on being a lawyer, but not having to practice law.
Right, that big success.
Couple quick things. Another accident on Orange Grove and Prospect. This one was injury, August 17th. That's the area where the 2 lanes become one. There was also an incident, 800 block of Orange Grove, which is the first block north of Mission. So just another plug for doing something on Orange Grove to improve safety if we can. I mentioned medians earlier. So there are a couple, and I think I've mentioned it to Michael, but there are a couple of medians on Orange Grove North and South of the 110 intersection. They're relatively small. They have sort of a rock border around the edge and then an area in the middle that's supposed to be planted. They're both dirt. I've mentioned the need to put new planting in. I'm piling onto that by wondering if, to the extent we have medians where the landscape is gone or virtually gone, if as a temporary solution, decorative rock or something like that can be put over the dirt so that at least one, the dirt doesn't fly around, and two, it's less unattractive. It seems like a relatively reasonable cost, to make them look not so ugly. Also certainly drought tolerant. Meridian at Bank. So this is coming full circle to pedestrian protection. So there's a marked crosswalk there. I think it's marked yellow, school zone. Wondering if staff can take a look at the red zone on the west curb north of the intersection. Is it long enough? I had in mind the daylighting law, which I believe is 20 feet, so that's all right. Wondering if it's if it has the sufficient length to provide visibility of not only pets, but also folks turning left out of Bank onto Meridian. It's a north of Bank. There's some angle to that street. And the sight distance is fantastic. So if it's possible to measure the red zone and if needed, extend it a bit to comply with daylighting and also, help safety of the intersection, that'd be great. Last, I was driving up Fremont and I was a bit surprised to see a speed feedback sign on northbound Fremont approaching Columbia. I don't remember ever having any conversation about that. So I was wondering if hopefully staff knows about it. And if you could just give us some insight as to where it came from. Because I know we talked about speed feedbacks on Huntington. And I don't know if those have been installed yet or not. But I don't remember any conversation about this one. So I was just wondering if you could give us some insight. Because when it's northbound uphill near Columbia, I sort of wonder about the speeding issue right there, but it's fine. But I was just wondering where it came from. Would you mind? Sorry, Masami. No, whatever you know, I'll take it.
No, just, actually, that was done, just last week. We installed 4 of those, 2 on Fremont, going north and 1 south.
Oh,
Yeah, one is actually right across from each other. One for south and one north, and the other 2 are on Huntington. What's across the street? Bank, right? Yeah, so we put on Huntington also 1 in each direction. That was done last week.
okay.
I personally probably wasn't here when the decision, so I don't know the history, maybe, Tenek, tell us the history behind it.
It's Karen, I don't, you guys are one of those Huntington to Fremont. Some of the parking tees that were installed as part of those improvements to slow down the traffic. I remember those 4, my recollection, again, when Ted was here.
Okay.
We needed to put, stripe the center lines. LA County did that for us in 2022. As part of that improvement also was parking tees to be implemented on Fremont, some curb highlighting, and also the feedback sign to be installed on southbound Fremont, northbound Fremont, and then eastbound Huntington and westbound Huntington.
Okay, so the ones on Fremont are across from each other?
Yes.
Just south of Columbia? And then the ones on Huntington are?
By, the liquor store, as you make that turn, the 40-mile radius, that's when they speed up.
Yeah.
Yes, heading eastbound on Huntington before you get to Garfield, there's been a lot of fatalities and
Oh, yeah, no, Huntington.
vehicles just speed through it. So one of the recommendations then was to install a speed feedback sign as a measure until something else bigger is implemented.
Right.
So it took a while to procure the equipment and install. You're just seeing it late.
And the ones on Huntington are across from each other too, or are they different locations?
So probably diagonally about 100.
Close proximity.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're all,
Maybe 200.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but those
so-
are the locations identified. I remember on Pine, there was a lot of speeding that goes before they get to Garfield.
and those are solar?
Yes.
They're solar, yes, so they easily, if it's used and other things are implemented, they can be relocated somewhere else, so
And
that's
and they're
why.
operating now?
Uh,
Or,
The one on Fremont are operating, I think the one on Huntington, the installer was missing a cap. And he's gonna come tomorrow, actually,
to install.
yeah, Unix, they missed something that they need to put it tomorrow. But yeah, they've been installed.
thank you. Thanks, Sanjay.
You're very well.
That's all I had. All right, if there's nothing further, we'll adjourn the meeting for tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.